Good morning, fourth grade. Today we are going to work on relating tenths and decimals. Now, if you look at our definition of a decimal and a decimal point, it says a decimal is a number with one or more digits to the right of the decimal point. You can write tenths and hundreds as fractions or decimals. So today we're going to work on just tenths and decimals, and we're going to be able to write them as fractions and as decimals. Now we have our chart here. We know the numbers to the left of our decimal point are our whole numbers. So we'd have our ones, and that's how you would write our ones as a fraction. We know any number over itself is equal to 1. And then to the right of our decimal point, say we're just going to focus on the first place value to the right, which is our tenths. And you will see when you're writing tenths as a fraction, your denominator will always be 10. Your numerator will change depending on how many tenths you have. And when you are writing it as a decimal, it will always be the place value directly to the right of the decimal point. And I will show you how to do that today. So our first problem says, Ty is reading a book about metamorphic rocks. He has read 7/10 of the book. What decimal describes the part of the book Ty has read? So we know he's read 7/10. Now if we look, we know that when it's 1/10, and the fraction's written as 1 with the numerator, the denominator of 10, 1/10, our decimal point is 0, the decimal point, and then 1/10. So if we are writing 7/10, since we know our tenths is the place value directly to the right of our decimal point, I would write the number of books that Ty has read as 0, 0, and 7/10. So it would be 0.7, and that's how you would write it as a decimal. Now let's look at example 2. Write the model as a fraction or mixed number and a decimal. So our model here, if you count, you'll see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 bars in each one. So we have 2 possible wholes here because we're talking about tenths. 10 tenths would equal 1 whole. So this is going to be a mixed number because I know I have 1 full, so I know I'm going to have a whole number. Then to find how many tenths I need to have, I am going to look at my second square, my second set of tenths, and count how many are shaded in. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I have 6/10 shaded in. So to write that as a whole number, I will write 1 because I have 1 whole. And then I need to write 6/10 as a fraction. So it'll be 6 as my numerator and 10 as my denominator. And I would read that as 1 and 6/10. Now to write that as a decimal, remember our whole numbers are to the left of the decimal point. So I'd write 1, then my decimal point. And our tenths are the place value directly to the right of the decimal point. And I have 6/10, so it'll be 1 decimal point 6. And you would read both of these answers as 1 and 6/10, 1 and 6/10. When you read a decimal point, you say end. Now example number 3. I have a number line. My number line has 10/10, which will equal 1 whole, and 0/10, which will equal 0. That's our range that we're in between. Now I want to write, it says write the fraction, mixed number, and decimal shown in the model below. I want to write where this blue is representing right here, where our little blue dot is. So I know this is 5/10, because if I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bars, so I need to figure out how many tenths our blue dot is. So I will count 6/10, 7/10, 8/10. So to write that as a fraction, I will write 8 as my numerator, 10 as my denominator. Notice there's not a whole number, so it's just a fraction, not a mixed number. And then when I'm writing a decimal, since there's no whole number, it'll be 0 and 6/10, because remember, our first place value to the right of the decimal is our tenths place. 8/10. Our first place value to the right of the decimal is our tenths place.